All right, so get ready because we're diving deep today
Oh, yeah.
into some seriously thought-provoking stuff.
Lay it on me.
We're tackling Jacques Derrida, specifically his idea
Mm-hmm.
that the future belongs to ghosts.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, and to help us unpack this,
Right.
we've got excerpts from Bernard Stiegler.
Okay.
He takes Derrida's theories
Mm-hmm.
and spins them in a way that
Love.
might just make you look at the world
Okay.
a little differently.
I'm ready.
So
Let's do it.
what's really interesting here is how Stiegler links Derrida's work to cinema and psychoanalysis,
Okay.
saying that life itself
Yeah.
is already cinematic.
Now, that's a head scratcher right there.
Life as cinema.
I mean,
I love a good movie,
yeah.
but this sounds a little out there.
It does.
Yeah.
Help me understand this.
Okay, so think about it like this.
Okay.
Derrida famously said,
Mm-hmm.
language is always writing.
Sure.
He's not just talking about
Pen and paper.
Right.
But the whole system of
Yeah.
signs and structures
Okay.
that make up language.
Yeah.
Stiegler takes that idea
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and applies it to our lives,
Okay.
saying that our experiences,
Uh-huh.
our thoughts,
Okay.
even our memories,
Yeah.
are structured like a film.
So it's
Yeah,
like our
precisely.
minds are constantly
Right.
creating these narratives,
Yeah.
these stories, and projecting them onto the world.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the way these narratives are structured,
Mm-hmm.
the way they unfold,
Okay.
mirrors the way a film is put together.
Oh,
Stiegler calls this archicinematography,
okay.
this inherent structure of the psyche.
Interesting.
That's like a blueprint
Yeah.
for how we experience reality.
So even before we step into a movie theater,
Yes.
our minds are already engaged
Yeah.
in a kind of filmmaking process.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because Stiegler goes on to connect this cinematography of the psyche
Yeah.
to the actual film industry
Okay.
and the rise of consumer culture.
Interesting.
He talks about the economic machine of desires.
Okay, so we're talking about the big studios, the blockbusters, all that. But
Exactly.
how does that tie back to
Well,
this idea of our minds
Yeah.
being like movie projectors?
Stiegler draws a parallel
Okay.
between the rise of mass production,
Okay.
like Henry Ford's assembly lines pumping out cars,
Yeah.
and the boom of the Hollywood studio system.
Right.
Both systems, he argues,
Okay.
are designed to tap into our desires
Uh-huh.
and in a way manufacture them.
So
Yeah.
Ford makes cars affordable,
Right.
creating this desire
Yeah.
for personal transportation.
Uh-huh.
And Hollywood feeds us
Yes.
these larger-than-life fantasies,
Exactly.
these images of glamour and escape, fueling our desires
Yes.
for something more.
Precisely.
Okay.
And here's the kicker.
All right.
Both systems, while initially fueled by desire,
Mm-hmm.
can ultimately lead to its destruction
Mm.
by constantly commodifying and exploiting desire.
Yeah.
They turn it into something fleeting,
Wow.
something almost ghostly.
It's almost like they're giving us the desire,
Yeah.
but also taking something away
Oh, yeah.
at the same time.
Right.
It reminds me of how Plato thought writing would destroy memory.
Oh, yeah.
Then Derrida comes along
Right.
and says, hold on,
Mm-hmm.
memory has always been a form of writing. It's a way of recording
Uh-huh.
and reconstructing experience.
That's a great connection.
Really?
Stiegler's making a similar point.
Okay.
He's not saying that cinema is inherently bad,
Right.
but that its power lies in its ability to
Mm-hmm.
tap into the depths of our psyche.
Yeah.
It can be a force for good,
Uh-huh.
but it can also be used to manipulate
Right.
and exploit us,
Yeah.
especially when driven by the logic of profit.
So it's not the technology itself.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But how it's used,
Uh-huh.
who's controlling it,
Mm-hmm.
and what their intentions are,
It's true.
it's kind of scary to think about.
It is.
How something that can move us so deeply,
Yeah.
like a great film,
Right.
can also be used to pull our strings on such a fundamental level.
It's true.
It is unsettling,
Yeah.
and it's important to be aware of those forces at play.
It is.
But Stiegler doesn't stop there.
He doesn't.
He goes on to talk about
Okay.
the War of Phantoms,
Woo.
which sounds even more intense. Oh, yeah, he says,
Mm.
the future goes through the War of Phantoms.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued,
Yeah.
but also a little scared.
Oh.
What exactly is he
Thanks.
talking about?
To understand this,
Yeah.
we have to look at how the West traditionally views spirit.
Okay.
It's this idea of
Yeah.
one single universal truth,
Okay.
one guiding force,
Mm-hmm.
But Stiegler contrasts this with the concept of multiple spirits,
Okay.
or phantoms, that you find in many traditional societies.
So like ancestor worship
Exactly.
or the belief in multiple deities,
Yes.
where the line between the living and the dead is a bit blurrier.
In these cultures,
Yeah.
the dead are not simply gone. They are a presence,
Okay.
a force that shapes the lives of the living.
Interesting.
And this brings us to the term hauntology,
Yeah.
which might sound spooky.
Right.
It's actually a really powerful concept.
Okay, so hauntology.
Yeah.
We've touched on it.
We have.
But I need a bit more clarity.
Sure.
How does it fit into this whole
Okay.
War of Phantoms thing?
Well, in its simplest form,
Mm-hmm.
hauntology is the return of the dead.
Okay.
But Derrida uses it to describe something much broader.
Okay.
The way the past, the absent, continues to shape the present.
Oh.
Think about how history influences our current political landscape,
Yeah.
or how personal memories color
Uh-huh.
our perceptions.
So this War of Phantoms
Yes.
is not a literal war,
Right.
but a clash between different ways of understanding reality, different ways of relating to the past and the future.
Yeah.
And this is especially relevant in
It's
our
a what?
digital age where everything's a copy of a copy,
Right.
and the lines between what's real and what's simulated are becoming increasingly blurred.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
And what's at stake in this cinematographic war, as Stiegler puts it,
Right.
nothing less than the future of the libido,
Wow.
the very core of our desires and hopes.
Whoa, okay, now we're getting into some deep waters.
Yeah.
We definitely need to unpack this more
We do.
and figure out what Stiegler means by the libido and how it all connects to this ghostly future. This is one heck of a cliffhanger.
It is. Let's dive back into Stiegler's take on the libido.
All right.
It's not just about those base desires we usually associate with the word.
Right.
He sees it as the force that shapes our relationships, our values, our entire social fabric.
Okay.
It's the energy that binds us together.
Yeah, it's like that drive to connect, to create, to find meaning in the world, right?
And this is where that difference that Derrida talks about comes in.
Okay.
Instead of just grabbing for immediate gratification, we learn to wait, to anticipate, to channel our desires into something more lasting and fulfilling.
It's like choosing to save up for something special instead of impulsively buying whatever catches your eye.
Exactly.
Or taking the time to build a real connection with someone, you know, instead of just swiping right and hoping for the best.
Perfect examples.
Okay.
And Stiegler argues that this delay, this difference, as Derrida calls it, is what allows us to transform objects of consumption into objects of genuine devotion.
So instead of just wanting that new gadget, you become passionate about understanding how it works, how it fits into the bigger picture of technology and innovation.
Or maybe you fall head over heels for a band, not just because of a catchy song, but because their music speaks to something deep inside you.
You're getting it.
Think about falling in love.
Okay.
It's not just about that initial spark of attraction. It's about building a shared history, a sense of longing and fulfillment that goes beyond the purely physical.
So we've got this powerful force,
Yes.
the libido, shaping our desires, driving us to connect and create.
Right.
But then Stiegler throws in this curveball,
He does.
this idea that capitalism is actually attacking this very force. How does that even work?
It's subtle,
Okay.
but insidious. Capitalism, according to Stiegler, thrives on reducing everything to a calculation.
Right.
It wants to turn our desires into data points,
Okay.
our relationships into transactions,
Wow.
our passions into commodities.
It's like that feeling of being bombarded
Yes.
with ads that try to convince you that buying their product is the key to happiness, or scrolling through social media and feeling like everyone's presenting this perfectly curated version of themselves, which makes you question your own authenticity.
That's it.
Okay.
And the more we buy into this logic,
Yeah.
the more our desires become fragmented, fleeting, and ultimately unsatisfying. We're left chasing after ghosts.
Right.
Always seeking the next thing, the next hit of dopamine, without ever truly feeling fulfilled.
It's almost like we're losing touch.
It is.
With what truly matters, with what genuinely makes us feel alive. And that brings us back to Derrida's idea.
It does.
That the future belongs to ghosts, right? If our desires are constantly being exploited and commodified, they become empty spectral.
They do.
Like, what's left to desire when everything has already been packaged and sold to us?
That's the danger.
Wow.
Stiegler is highlighting.
Yeah.
And it leads him to a pretty bleak conclusion.
All right.
This destruction of desire can lead to widespread despair, disillusionment, and even violence.
What's that?
Now, that's a serious jump.
It is. How does he...
Well, think about it.
Okay.
If people lose their sense of hope, their belief in a meaningful future, they become vulnerable to extreme ideologies that offer easy answers, a sense of purpose, even if it means resorting to destructive means.
He's talking about terrorism, isn't he? That feeling of hopelessness, of being disconnected from any sense of belonging can lead people down some dark paths.
And it's a chilling thought.
It is.
This is where Stiegler's analysis of the film Ghost Dance is really interesting.
Right.
He focuses on this scene where Derrida tells the actress, Pascal Augier, the future belongs to ghosts.
Right.
And what's eerie is that she died.
Oh, wow.
Shortly after filming.
Whoa. Talk about blurring the lines between reality and fiction. Yeah.
Derrida's words foreshadowed her fate.
It is unsettling.
And Stiegler connects this to a scene in Fellini's Intervista, where actress Anita Ekberg watches herself on screen from 20 years earlier.
Wow.
It's this poignant moment of confronting her younger self.
Right.
This image of youthful beauty and vitality while facing the realities of aging and the passage of time.
It's like she's looking at a ghost of herself.
Exactly.
And I guess in a way we all do that.
We do.
To some extent, right? We look back at old photos, old videos, and it's almost like we're encountering these past versions of ourselves, these ghosts of who we used to be.
Exactly.
Wow.
And Stiegler uses these cinematic examples to point to a bigger question.
Right.
What does it mean to be real in a world saturated with images and representations?
Right.
Are we all just playing roles?
It's like that feeling of being caught in the endless scroll of social media where everyone seems to be projecting this idealized version of themselves. It makes you wonder if anyone is being truly authentic anymore.
It's a question that Derrida himself grappled with.
Right.
He was constantly deconstructing those binaries we take for granted.
Okay.
Reality versus fiction. Presence versus absence.
Right.
Life versus death.
And Stiegler takes this.
He does.
Even further with his provocative question. The problem is to know whether we are in a good or bad cinema.
Ooh, that's a good one. What do you think you mean by that?
He's suggesting that life itself is a kind of cinema.
Okay.
And the quality of that cinema depends on our choices, our awareness, and our engagement.
Okay.
It's about recognizing
that we have a role to play in shaping our own narratives.
So when Stiegler says we need to figure out if we're in a good or bad cinema, it's like he's challenging us to become more aware of the forces shaping our experiences.
It's true.
But how do we actually do that? It's not like we can just choose to step out.
It's not about
the movie, right?
Escaping reality.
Right.
Or rejecting technology altogether.
Yeah.
It's about becoming more conscious.
Okay.
More discerning. About how we engage with the world around us.
Oh, okay.
Think of it like choosing to watch a thought-provoking documentary.
Right.
That challenges your perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media.
So it's about intentionality.
Exactly.
About being an active participant in shaping your own experiences rather than just passively consuming whatever's thrown at you.
And that requires a certain level of self-awareness. We need to understand how our desires and perceptions are being shaped by the media we consume, the stories we tell ourselves, and the systems we're a part of.
So instead of just accepting things at face value, we need to start asking those deeper questions.
Right.
What am I watching? Why am I watching it?
Yeah.
How is it affecting me?
Precisely.
Right.
It's about recognizing the power of these narratives.
Yeah.
The power of cinema in its broadest sense.
Right.
To shape our understanding of the world and ourselves.
And this goes back to Stiegler's point.
It does.
About the potential dangers of the economic machine of desires, right?
Right.
If we're not careful, we can end up being manipulated by forces that are more interested in profit than in our well-being.
But Stiegler also sees the potential for good. He believes cinema can be a powerful tool for connecting us to our deepest selves. For fostering empathy and understanding. And for helping us make sense of this complex and often confusing world.
So how do we navigate this landscape?
That's the question.
How do we find meaning and authenticity?
It's a good one.
In a world where the lines between reality and illusion are becoming increasingly blurred?
It's not easy, that's for sure.
It's a question that feels more and more relevant.
It does.
Every day, especially with the rise of virtual reality and artificial intelligence.
It requires constant vigilance, critical thinking, and a willingness to question our assumptions. But I think it starts with recognizing that we do have a choice. We're not just passive recipients of media. We're active participants in creating the world around us. We can choose to be aware of the forces at play to challenge the narratives that don't serve us. And to create our own stories that are meaningful and authentic.
It's like we're all directors of our own lives, choosing what kind of film we want to create.
And that's a powerful thought.
It is.
Because it means that even though the future may belong to ghosts, as Derrida suggested, we still have the power to choose what kind of ghosts we want to be.
Wow.
We can choose to be ghosts that haunt the world with beauty, with truth, with compassion. Or we can choose to be ghosts that perpetuate fear, division, and despair. The choice is ultimately ours.
That's a powerful image to end on.
It is.
So in this deep dive into Derrida and Stiegler, we've explored some pretty complex and thought-provoking ideas. We've talked about the cinematography of the psyche. This idea that our minds are constantly constructing narratives, shaping our experiences, like a film. We've delved into the economic machine of desires. And how it can manipulate and exploit our deepest longings.
It's true.
And we've confronted the war of phantoms.
We have.
This clash between different ways of understanding reality in a world where the lines between truth and illusion are becoming increasingly blurred.
And throughout all of this, we've emphasized the importance of awareness, critical thinking, and intentionality. It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we engage with the world. The stories we tell ourselves, and the future we create.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What can they do
with all of this?
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the complexity of these ideas, but I think there's also a real sense of empowerment here.
Absolutely.
We're not just helpless bystanders in this unfolding drama. We have the power to become more conscious, more discerning, and more intentional in how we live our lives. We can choose to cultivate genuine desire, to seek out authentic connections, and to create a future that is grounded in meaning and purpose.
It's a challenge, no doubt.
It is.
But it's also an incredibly exciting opportunity. So as we wrap up this deep dive, We encourage you to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep the conversation going.
Right.
The future may be uncertain, but it's not predetermined.
That's right.
We all have a role to play.
We do.
In shaping what comes next.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
On this journey.
It's been great.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep seeking. Yeah. Keep questioning. And keep creating your own good cinema.
And remember.
Yes.
The future may belong to ghosts, but it's up to us to decide.
It is.
What kind of ghosts we want to be.
That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this latest episode, and don't forget to like and subscribe below.